travelling solo through the eastern Baltic. Get ready for my epic adventure across Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia and Finland. From driving more than 1,000 kilometres to ferries across the Baltic Sea. This journey uncovers stunning landscapes, vibrant capitals and powerful stories of these countries' recent history and how they echo into today. Experience the magic of these must-visit countries through the lens of one unforgettable journey. Let's go. Well, our road trip, it doesn't have the most exciting of starts. We're on our way to get the hire car here at Vilnius airport in Lithuania. That was actually quite interesting. There's always, it seems, additional charges when you arrive that maybe if you'd read the fine print, perhaps that's an accusation at me, I would have actually seen. But anyway, I'll take you through the charges I had to pay on top of what I expected a little later in this video.
In 100 meters, use the left lane to turn left on F8 G.
My 6-day trip, starting in Vilnius, takes in the Hill of Crosses, before Latvia and its capital Riga. It's then Estonia and Tartu, and Narva on the Russian border. A day trip to Helsinki, followed by a look around Tallinn. Well, you have to admit, it's a pretty cool hotel. The price of how much this has cost me, including breakfast and parking, is on the screen now. This is the room that I've got for tonight. I think it's pretty cool. I'm sure I'll sleep pretty well here. Just quickly, finally, this is the shower room, bathroom for tonight. It's been a long day, so I'm going to take a break now, but stand by. We're going to have a walk soon around Vilnius, but before that I will show you just how cool the downstairs of this hotel is. But for now, good night. As public areas in hotels, this was a feast for the eyes and gave you a chance to measure yourself against celebrities. And right next to the hotel, of course, there is a little statue of John Lennon. It's about a 15-minute walk from the hotel to the start of where we take a look around the historic heart of Vilnius. There is only one place you can start having a look around a city like Vilnius, and surely that's at the gates to the city itself. Well, the old city. I don't think so close to the Russian border there's any doubt whose side Lithuania's on. You won't see symbols of NATO on display in many capital cities. And just over here, a little memorial to some recent history for the Baltic states. This marks a major moment in the modern history of Lithuania and the rest of the Baltic states. The Baltic Way came as the Soviet Union disintegrated. To raise the profile for their independence push, around 2 million people formed a human chain across the Baltic states in 1989. Independence followed for all three countries within the next few years. You'll see references to the Baltic Way everywhere in the countries and on this video. If you're a regular to this channel, you'll know I can't avoid a quick look inside a cathedral or church. It really was a glorious morning and a moment to head for the heights to look across Vilnius. No, you're right. It isn't a long walk up, probably around 10 minutes or so, but a quick minute on the funicular has given me a bit more time up here and a bit more time to look around the city. If this video is proving helpful to you or entertaining, I'd appreciate it if you'd tickle the old like button to help take this video to other travel lovers. This street celebrates writers who've lived in Vilnius or have a connection with the city or Lithuania. More than 500 years old, this church is best known for its wooden interior. It does feel like there is a church at every corner in this city. Well, 3 hours is certainly not long enough to really spend in Vilnius, but we've got a lot of the Baltics and Finland to see in this video, so we're heading back to the car and then via an unusual Lithuanian tourist attraction, we're on the road to Riga in Lithuania. And so to part one of the road trip, and once out of Vilnius it was a 3-hour drive on good roads to one of the more unusual tourist attractions I've ever been to. I found driving in the Baltic states pretty easy, but I was helped by an app which I'll talk about later in this video. And yes, you're right, I was very lucky with the weather. In fact, I was lucky with the weather for almost all my time on this trip. Coming soon to the channel, a slightly different adventure, a trip to Lanzarote. To not miss out, hit the old subscribe button. Well, 2.5 to 3 hours after we left Vilnius, we've arrived at our next destination. It's really strange really, because it has been pretty quiet on the roads. There's not been a lot of traffic, and all of a sudden got people around, got buses around, because we're at something of a major tourist attraction, an unusual tourist attraction, which we'll go and have a look at now. If you know what we're about to see in front of me, then this isn't going to be a huge surprise, but if you've no idea what's coming next, you're going to be pretty shocked. If all you can make out is just what looks like a lot of shapes, well, it's pretty much right. It's actually lots and lots of crosses. It's a hill of crosses, and I think this is going to be quite extraordinary to see. Without doubt, it's got to go down as one of the most random things, the most extraordinary things you could ever see. I can't emphasize enough, we are in the middle of the Lithuanian countryside, the Baltic countryside. A major town is not very close. Vilnius is about 2.5 to 3 hours that way. Riga, it's about an hour and a half up that way. And yet you got this. It is amazing. Before we go up the hill of crosses, there's a little chapel just up there, which should give us a pretty special view. It was in this chapel back in 1993 that the then Pope, Pope John Paul II, celebrated Mass. Well, I'm not quite sure what to make of that. It's an extraordinary act of devotion and belief for the people who put the crosses there. And it's certainly eye-catching, and it's certainly worth a visit. But I'm left kind of knowing not what to think. But we haven't got time to wait around. Oh no, we've got to head to Riga. The Baltic Road Trip continues. These days, with both Lithuania and Latvia in the European Union, if you blink, you'll miss crossing the border. More than 2 hours after leaving the Hill of Crosses, we're in the Latvian capital, Riga. Good news, I've finally made it to Riga and to my hotel. The better news, I have an upgrade. So exactly how much this room has cost me is on the screen now. I think that is a decent upgrade. Nice double bed and a pretty big room. Bathroom. Always love a hotel with a bathroom, but the best thing about this room is the view. Riga is on a river and the hotel is on a river, and this is my view at sunset over Riga. Nope, I'm still not tired of that view, but I now need to leave the hotel room because we need to go and have a look around Riga in the daytime, and then we've got to head further north into Estonia to Tartu. We're right at the north part of the city, just before you get into the old part of Riga, and we're going to have a little look around what you could see when you come here, and also go into a couple of the really interesting places. This display commemorates the Baltic Way. Built in 1698, this was part of the city's defensive walls. As ever, modern history isn't too far away. Another cathedral, and a chance, of course, to look inside. Riga Cathedral, also known as the Dome Cathedral, was founded in 1211. If you're planning a weekend break, then Riga, like the other Baltic capitals at their historic hearts, are quite small and very walkable. It's definitely one of those towns where you can just lose yourself down the alleys and passages, just like here. Not far from St. Peter's, opposite the City Hall, arguably the most famous building in Riga, the House of the Blackheads. While this is not the original building, that was badly damaged in World War II and demolished during the Soviet era, it is worth heading inside and taking a look. I want to take you to one final place, which is just outside the old town, with a short walk along by the side of the river. Well, sort of along by the side of the river, along a road that's along the side of the river. Just there, just poking up, is the final destination for our whistle-stop tour around central Riga. Yes, I thought we'd take a quick look around the central market here in Riga, which was put down as a tourist attraction. Riga Central Market uses old Zeppelin hangars from World War II and is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We've got to get back to the hotel, get back to the car and head to Estonia. Before we leave Riga, a drive past my hotel for the previous night. Roads in Latvia, like the rest of the Baltic states, were pretty good. If you can think of some places I should take this channel in the future, let me know in the comment section to this video. As before, blink and you'll miss the almost invisible border crossing. 3.5 hours later, Tartu, the university town of Estonia, and when I was there, the European capital of culture. It's also, though, well known for its wooden buildings. The view from my bedroom window. The price for the room is on the screen now, as I always do. I try and let you know exactly how much things are costing me. I'm in the second oldest house in this town, apparently, 137 years old, and as a result, there's plenty of character. I think the only issue is going to be bagging my head. Anyway, look, I'll show you the outside of this great place. It is very much in the centre of Tartu, and we'll go and take a look around the town as well. As you can see, it's a pretty old building. It creaks a lot, but it's got great character, and for the price, I think it's well worth spending a day or two here in Tartu. Well, about 5 minutes from the hotel, it's the town hall. I just want to have a little look a bit further away from the hotel, a bit further away from the food, and head down towards the river to see what that looks like as we approach dusk. Well, we're kind of at dusk already, but darkness. I had planned to stay here a little longer, but I need to get to our next destination in plenty of time, so I'm afraid we're going to have to leave Tartu behind and head for the Russian border. I didn't really get to spend very long in Tartu, but from what I saw, I really liked it. Yes, my departure from Tartu was to be obscured by thick fog. In fact, it was thicker than it looks on camera at the moment. You know, I guess you should always admire those that can see through the fog, which, thankfully, was about to burn away. Before Narva, though, I had my eye on a lake with a view. It really doesn't get much better than this on a road trip. Just pulled off what is the main road from Tartu all the way up to Narva, and if you pause, all you can hear is nature and the odd little car in the far distance. But the reason I've stopped here is because of what is in front of me. And I tell you one thing for nothing, I'm getting close to a bit of water, and I think I'm going to get bitten quite a lot. I am one of those people that get bitten by mosquitoes. If you want to have a nice time in a wood and not get bitten, phone me up, message me on the channel, and do you know what? I'll come along and I guarantee you I will be the one that's bitten. And if you've always been the one that's bitten, trust me, if I came along, you wouldn't be bitten. The reason I came down here, other than to be bit lots of times by mosquitoes, killed at least 4 already, is that is Russia on the other side of the lake that I think I can see. Maybe you can't, but on the screen, but it is over there. But we'll get a closer look at Russia in Narva, where we're headed to. But I need to get back to the car, because do you know what? If I don't, I'm going to look like a multi-spotted domino set. Need to get going. Need to get back to the car. Let's go. The only good thing about mosquito bites is... oh yeah, that's right. There's nothing good about a mosquito bite. Do you know, editing this video months later, I feel itchy at the thought of the mosquitoes. They really did love me. Now to the app that I used while driving in the Baltic states and back here in the UK. Waze. It's a great map app and includes things like speed cameras as an alert. The roads I travel from, apart from the capital cities, were pretty quiet across all the Baltic states. Less than 3 hours from Tartu, Narva, a town right on the Russian border, where two castles glare at each other across the Narva River. After, a couple of hours drive from Tartu, here we are. Behind me, the Russian border. That river, in the middle of it, is the border, but up there, a couple of castles. And if you know anything about my channel, or if you're new to the channel, you're about to find out, I can't beat going and having a look at a castle or two. Let's go. Well, it's a lovely, quaint little white wooden building here, but it's pretty clear that in its day this bastion was about a lot more than a lovely view over the river down below. It was about safety, and it was about facing off your rivals over there. Now that we're a little bit closer, it's pretty obvious pedestrians are only getting across this bridge. Big tank traps, I think they call them crocodile teeth, spaced out on the bridge there. Kind of says a lot about the current situation between a country like Estonia, EU, NATO, and the country directly behind me in Russia. And there behind me, that is some view. The river separating Russia and Estonia, the EU and NATO, and the history as well. The Russian castle, and on the other side, the Estonian castle. I think it's about time we went inside and had a quick look, don't you think? Let's go and see a castle right on the border between Estonia and over there, Russia. Narva Castle is also known as the Herman Castle, and it now houses Narva Museum. However, if you can brave the stairs after a lift, there are some amazing views from the top of the castle. South, you can see Narva. To the west, much more of modern-day Narva. Looking to the north, you see the Friendship Bridge across the Narva River between Estonia on the left and Russia on the right. And then finally, looking east, out across Russia, and of course that neighbouring castle. We're done for Narva, and we're just about to drive back to Tallinn and hand back in the car, but don't worry, there's lots more of the trip to do. We're tomorrow going to be getting on boats, ships, and heading off towards Helsinki, so lots more to come on this video. But I just want to talk about hire cars, because am I the only person? Whenever you get to wherever you're going and you get your hire car, it always feels like whatever it was going to cost you costs more. And the same was true here. Some of that's down to me. I should have checked. I didn't realise there were costs going from Lithuania into Latvia and into Estonia. But I would argue it wasn't obvious to find it. And I think it could have been better just put right out front, right at the top, as part of the costs. And then there's a cleaning fee for the car. I've never known a cleaning fee for a hire car. I mean, we're going to have been driving, 600-700 kilometres at least. So the car's going to need cleaning. So I was given the option of cleaning the car myself or paying for it to be cleaned. With the greatest will in the world, at 6 o'clock tonight when we get into Tallinn, I don't want to be cleaning a car. I don't want to be cleaning a car when I'm travelling, so it was always going to be an extra fee on top. So I guess it's a lesson learned in one way, but I also have a question for you about hire cars. What's your best solution for hire cars? What would you recommend? I'm starting to come round to the view that I should just maybe become a member of one of the major companies in the hope that they'll always be very upfront with costs. Am I being naive? Let me know in the comments. But for now, it's time to say goodbye to Narva and hit the road and head back to Tallinn. It's about a 2.5 to 3 hour drive. We're going to be dumping the car and then heading into town to our hotel. And so to my final drive, around 3 hours to Tallinn. By the end, I'd driven around 1,000 kilometers, 620 miles in 3 days. If I did this trip again, I'd probably allow myself a day or two more to cover that distance. So here we are, made it to Tallinn, and now it's just a case of dropping off the keys, and then a 5-minute walk to the airport to get a bus into town. Bye bye. I don't know about you, but handing back the car is always something of a relief. I am on fully comp with it, but you just never know, do you? Anyway, let's get to the airport, get a ticket for the bus, and head into the centre of Tallinn to our hotel, where I dropped off my hire car. It's not with the main ones just over here, but it's a 2-minute walk from the hire car to the airport just in front of us. So today's ticket has cost me €2. That is the ticket. You can actually use your card on the machines in here, but I just thought I'd get the ticket. It was pretty straightforward. As you can see, the route that we're taking, ironically, to Estonia, it's very clearly displayed on there, and this bendy bus is now winding its way through the bottom part of Tallinn, and hopefully we're going to be in the centre of town in about 17 minutes. And then it's another 15-minute walk to the hotel. I'll be honest, while the walk wasn't that far, after 3 days of driving, I could have done without it. And the good news is the hotel, as planned, is very close to the old city, which we're going to have a look round a bit later in this video. Made it to the hotel in Tallinn, and the good news is I've been upgraded to a double room, which is very nice. The view, well, you'll see in a second, but we'll be staying here for 2 nights before we head back to the UK. That is it for today. Tomorrow, Finland and Helsinki. Well, it's an early morning start for us. It's not even 6:30. We've left the hotel behind us and we're on our way to Finland. Yep, we're getting on board a ship. Is it a ship? Is it a ferry? Is it a boat? Let me know in the comments. But anyway, little walk across here, 10-minute walk, and I'll take you around the ship. 2 things about this morning. One, the weather. It's really clear. The weather forecaster talked about fog and mist, but we haven't got any, so we should have some fantastic views leaving the port. 2, mosquito bites. From that little visit to the lake yesterday, yeah, I look like a domino set this morning. So remember, if you need somebody to come and take all the mosquitoes away from you, I'm your man. Trust me, even friends who get bitten a lot think I'm the one. Even though I travel quite a lot, I can be at times a little bit over-concerned about things. And I was thinking, will I be able to find the D terminal where we sail from? Well, guess what? It isn't too hard. This is just a flavour of my time on the ferries to and from Helsinki. If you'd like to see a full review, a link to that video is on the screen now. I can tell you though that I thought one of the ferries was the best I'd ever been on. Arrival into Helsinki was a little obscured. A few minutes from the ferry terminal, a tram into central Helsinki. Well, I hadn't originally intended to get that tram, but as it was waiting, I thought I'd take it, and it's worked out really well. Half an hour from the ship docking, I'm right in the heart of Helsinki, by Helsinki Cathedral. There's a great view up by the cathedral. If it wasn't for the fog, you'd see a lot of the city and the harbour. With just 5 hours in Finland, I'd a sea fortress to find. If you're going to be the president of a country, then you want a palace with a decent view. I think the Finnish president has a pretty decent view. And if you're looking to get to a sea fortress, then of course you need a ferry ride. Originally built by the Swedes, the fort, which is a UNESCO heritage site, is made up of 8 islands and is now a popular place to visit for tourists and locals. Through this passageway, an eye-catching grave. It's that of Augustin Ehrensvärd, the man who designed this fortress. Clearly people live here on these islands. And when the likes of us tourists aren't here, it must be really idyllic in the middle of Helsinki harbour. I expected to see many things walking around this island, but having a view like that was not something I'd really expected. Really spectacular, and yes, you can see it right down the bottom there. There's a great big gun that I need to go and have a closer look at with you. There is another way off the island through the King's Gate, and I couldn't think of a better place for us all to leave through. Right ahead. Some moments when you travel are just perfect. This was one of them. Settle back and enjoy an idyllic ride back into Helsinki. Thank you. Amazing, isn't it? How different a place can look when the sun is out. But I had a ferry back to Tallinn to catch. I didn't want to miss it, as I had a lot to do on the final day in Tallinn. I found public transport in Helsinki, which included some of the small ferries I used. Super easy to do. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, a link to a video from my time in Helsinki is on the screen now. The wait for my return ferry to Tallinn was really enjoyable in this modern terminal in Helsinki. Well, you've got to say, the paintwork on that ship is fantastic. I'll be honest, on the ferry back to Tallinn, the last 3 days of travelling really caught up with me. Thankfully though, the energy levels would be back in full effect to look around Tallinn. This museum tells the story of Estonia's road to freedom after occupation. This depicts the overcrowded cattle carts the Soviets used to transport around 30,000 Estonians to Siberia, a journey and destination that killed many. More than 70,000 Estonians fled Soviet control from 1940 onwards. This display is about the Baltic Way. That definitely worth some of your time if you're here in Tallinn. It's not too long a walk outside of the old part of this city. This museum allows you to wander along the city walls and towers before heading underground to some tunnels that uncover the area's history. With our next destination in sight, time for a local delicacy. There's lots of birds around, so I'm sure I'll get very popular soon. But if you come to Tallinn or you come to the Baltics, anywhere in Scandinavia as well, have to have the local cinnamon bun. To say that cinnamon bun was amazing would be an understatement. I'll put a link to where I bought it in the description. This church, started in the 13th century, was heavily damaged in World War II and is a mix of the modern and historic as a church, museum to religious art, while also offering views across the city. The highlight here in terms of art, the Dance Macabre, that reminds us of the inevitability of death, regardless of status, wealth or power. Now time for the final attraction in the church, a glass elevator to a room with a view. This room offers some view. South you can take in the city walls that we've just been to. To the east, Baltic Tiger, Tallinn. West, the Russian Orthodox Alexander Nevsky Cathedral. Finally, the Baltic, and where we'll finish this video. I admit it, the idea of the lift getting us up there was certainly appealing today as well. But I was right, wasn't I? Fantastic view over Tallinn. Just outside the old city, an old industrial part of Tallinn, which is now an explosion of creativity, arts and entertainment, and definitely worth a wander around. Well, for my money, the artwork has brightened up what would have been, and still is in parts, an old industrial site. A dull old industrial site. Back into the old city and to its central square, and a free to enter attraction. If you can think of some places I should take this channel in the future, let me know in the comment section to this video. This pharmacy was founded in the 1400s and is a mix of museum and pharmacy. This pink building ahead of us is the Russian embassy. After all we've seen of the Baltic Way, it's not really a surprise to see many people's sympathies on public display. A minute's walk from the current Russian embassy, somewhere that has echoes of the past and Soviet times and the KGB. This apartment block holds a dark history. For nearly 50 years, its basements were cells for the Soviet NKVD and KGB. Now dry and warm, it's not hard to imagine the dark past of this small museum. As I near the end of this trip and a final view of the Baltic, I'd love to know if you've enjoyed this longer video and have some suggestions for where I should take this channel in the future. If you'd like to see more in-depth films from my Baltic adventure, a link to a series of videos is on the screen now.